What's going on, everybody? This is Gary B. Jr., and today we're going to talk about stage view. I made a video about this some time ago, but there's been a major update in FreeShow that adjusts everything about how we use our stage view to set it up. So we're going to start all over and get a better idea of how to do this. If you're a new user of FreeShow, this is where you want to be if you're in version 1.4 or newer of FreeShow. And there's a video out about this same topic for before that as well. All right. So there's no reason not to upgrade. So I would recommend that you upgrade your FreeShow if you're below version 1.4 and upgrade into 1.4 or whatever the latest version is. And these particular settings or features should apply. So let's go ahead and get started with it in a way that makes sense for this new layout and design of the stage view. All right, so as we get started, I'm going to go into the first place you need to go to get your stage view started. Is just go up here to the top where it says stage in the middle of FreeShow. And when you click that, you'll see that mine says no stage to show. All right. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go into this new layout option. And in here, you can make it be named whatever you want to. So I'm going to call this stage layout 1. I'm just going to hit enter and that automatically is there. Now I have a stage layout, which if you've looked at any of my other videos about how to start your shows, this is kind of like setting up a style when it comes to your shows. All right. So this is going to determine the look of what your stage view is going to look like. And for those who are curious or new to this, a stage view is something that you use in the midst of a presentation or a meeting. If it's a church service or a school meeting or whatever it is, it's designed to give whoever's on the stage confidence to speak and know what to say next. All right. So it may show them a clock, a timer. It may show them the videos that are being shown. It may show them how long the videos have before they're over. It may show the upcoming lyric to the next verse of the song or the next line of the song. It may show the scripture that's being shown to the audience and the next scripture that's going to show up after that. And so it's designed, sometimes called a confidence monitor, because that's exactly what it's designed to do, is give whoever's on stage confidence to go forward with what they're doing. So that's kind of the approach to this. So I would not approach doing a stage view without talking to the people that are going to be on stage. All right. So if you're a part of the media team, or maybe you're the media team leader, but you also are the worship leader, right? So you want to think about yourself, but also think about the people on the team of worship as well, what they would want to see. But you may have a head start because you already have an idea of what you want to see. Those who are strictly just media team volunteers or leaders, and you're not on the worship team, you're not the pastor, then you want to talk to those individuals who are in leadership to find out what is it that they want to see on their confidence monitor or their stage view. So for us, we're going to do some generic ones to get started. And what we'll do is we'll start out with one that will kind of reflect what might be helpful for a person on the worship team. And then we'll try to do something that may make sense for someone on preaching position. All right. So to me, the very first thing we want to do is we want to have something that shows what's currently being seen on the audience slides, right, or the main presentations or displays in the building or in the space. So I will go up here to where it says slide text, and so the way this works is we've got 1, 2, 3 items here. So we got a text box, an item, and items. And then if you hit the little arrow, you got the options for those items. Before we do anything, I'm going to do this option that says show labels. I want you to turn that on. I've got mine set to be yellow, and that may be the default. I'm not sure. So you can make it be any variation of yellow. Mine's look like it was like a darker yellow, but you can make it a bright yellow. That's completely fine. And then we go over to this item option that says items. And this is where you kind of are pulling in items to add to the stage view. All right. So this is a list of all the items you can add. So the outputs are here, right? And this has to do with things that are going to be going out to the stage display, right? So the actual slide text, right, which is not the visuals and the pictures and all that, is literally just the words that are going to be on the screen. So the scripture text, the song lyrics, those will show up and you can drag those in here or put those in. And then the current output, this represents what the actual slide looks like. So if you've got a motion graphic background showing up and all that kind of stuff, that's a current output. Okay. And that'll show up in the stage view if you want. Note to self, The current output does take quite a bit of memory / CPU usage, and it puts a load on your computer. My recommendation is to stay away from current output as much as possible and stay with the slide text option to put into your stage view, because it just takes less of a load for it to run on your computer and allows everything to run smoother. You won't have a lot of lag or delay or anything like that that could interfere with the presentation in a major way. Now, below that, you've got this option called items as well, in the main items category or drawer or whatnot. And this one has text box. Totally different than the slide text, because this text box can be whatever you want it to be. You can type text in there, or you can just make it be dynamic text, which we'll talk about in a little while as well. You also have this option that says progress, and this shows the progress of the slides for the slideshow. So if there are 10 slides in the lyric or the song, it'll show you we're on slide number 5 out of 10. Okay. And then the media is just that. It could be a picture, it could be a video, whatever it is that you want to add there. And then the camera is just that. It's a camera angle or camera feed that's connected to your computer. And then timers and clocks are options as well. And this opens up, the timer gives you a list of all the timers you've got, and you can work with that. We'll look into it. And then the clock is just that, the time of day. So let's start with the slide text. I'm just going to click it one time and it shows up and it says current slide. I can drag this wherever I want by selecting on the outside, and you notice that my actual title or label is default there because we already turned it on. Okay. And so the next thing you've got here is this option on the right now opens up where we're now selected inside of this text box drawer, for lack of better words, on this right column. So we had items, we were in that, everything else was grayed out over here, but now we've got this text box option and we've got this item option. All right. This is a lot like designing a slide in the show. All right. So we've got slide offset. This is unique to stage view, to where you can literally say, I don't want it to be the current slide. I want it to be the next slide. So you can hit plus, the plus sign there. You can hit plus again and it'll go 2 slides forward. All right. And so this is really helpful and much more customizable than it used to be. And it's a really cool way to allow you to add in your next slide text. All right. So I'm gonna go back. I'm hitting the minus sign because I do want to show current slide. Okay. And then it says, do you want to include media or not? You can select, turn that on or off, and then you can keep the style or just keep it generic. And then the item number that shows up here, and it shows item number 1, 2. You can plus that up, and you can do invert items as well. All right. So let's look at how this works. Let me start a show first. So let's go into, let's get a show from shows, and let's find. All right. So we've got a song here. This song has got a lot of words with it. I'm going to do a different one. Let's do For Your Glory. Okay, so it's still got quite a few words, but it's less words. All right, so we're going to try this out. And so I'm going to select this first slide and let's see what we get. All right, so I'm on the first slide of my show. It's this purple blurred blank slide on the show called For Your Glory, Tasha Cobbs. All right, so this is actually a song. All right, and if I go back to my stage view, you'll see the current slide text. There's nothing there. All right, so if I can select this again, we can go here. We can see the same menu we had earlier, but I'm going to add in my next slide as well. So I'm going to go back to items. We're going to select slide text again because it is more slide text that we want to add. And this one. So we'll drag this over. And this one is the next slide. All right. Now notice they're a little too big. So I'm going to bring this to be a little bit smaller, and I'll make this one be a little bit smaller as well so that they're not overlapping with each other. And they can go right to the edge. All right. So we got those two. We got current slide and next slide. Every time you add a slide in terms of slide text here, it's going to automatically go from whatever the last one that's on your stage view screen already. So if I add another slide, it's going to be a +2 slide. All right. So I had the current, the next, and then the next after that. All I did was add a new particular slide text. And this is important to understand. If you're looking for adding your next slide text, and you don't want to have two, you don't want to have the current and the next, you would just select your current slide and then you would offset it. Do the slide offset to be +1. If I do that, you'll see they're identical now. They both say next slide, which I don't want. I want to have the current slide. All right. And let's go back here. And we go out. Let's see. There we go. So we got our current slide text, next slide text. And sometimes if it gets stuck, what you can do is just minus it and add it back, and you'll see it kind of reset and default. I've noticed that on my end. I don't know if that's something that's universal or just my system doing that. All right. Now we got this option that says include media. So if I check that, nothing happens because I don't have any images or pictures on my slides. I just have a background. Okay. And if I wanted to see the background, I would have to go back to items and I would have to do current output. So let's do that. If I click current output, what you're going to see is the actual output. And, I don't know if it's showing my live stream or my primary. It looks like it's showing my live stream view only, which is completely see-through, but not my primary view. And let's see if we can change that. Yeah, there's not a way to change that. So let's go to the next slide and see. Yeah, so it's showing my stage view to where it's showing the upper thirds. And I'm not sure how to deactivate or make that show my primary view outside of just disabling. So if I go back to my settings here, we'll see if we can go to outputs and I can just turn off my live stream. And now let's see what happens into the stage view. And so now it defaults to being my main primary output as my current output. Let's go back to our settings and let's turn live stream back on and see what happens. I go to my stage view and it defaults back to my current output for my live stream, which is an upper thirds view. All right. So if I do, it doesn't give me an option to add another one. So that's something that you'll have to process through in that process of what the current output is. And I don't know if there's a way to customize that. Let's see if we do a show. It doesn't change even if you start presenting. So I'll stop presenting. But that's something to keep in mind. All right. Now I've got my current slide text, my next slide text. I don't really want to show my current output. That doesn't help me for what I think is going to be important. So I'm going to select the border of it, and I'm just going to click delete on my Apple computer. On a Windows computer, it's probably backspace to delete it. I guess delete will work too. So we've got our text slide, we've got our current slide, and our next slide. First part of the song, and then the next slide in the process, right? Let's say we wanted to add a text box. And this text box is going to be strictly for like some type of messages of some sort. And we'll put those here, right? So if we need to make a special announcement, I remember we had a conversation on a Free Show Friday where somebody said they needed to make sure to remind their team to take up the offering, right? Or maybe there's a special message you need to let people know, hey, time to wrap up, or don't forget to announce to pick up the kids from the Sunday school, or whatever it may be, or don't forget to announce the upcoming event coming up in the next week. You can literally select in this box and type whatever you want. If I can spell it, type whatever you want here. All right. Now, this is one way to do it. And you can customize all this. So I can go to my text box and I can make the color be red if you wanted to, or maybe you want the color to be yellow so it'll stand out, right? Now, notice that my text is so big it ran off. It's set to be at 100 size font. You can also turn on Autosize to where it'll automatically fit whatever you type in there, and it'll just make it as big as it needs to be to fit. And then we've got the option to change the font type to Arial, bold, and then you can go into your line options and the spacing and all that stuff. All these fun details for customizing what your text looks like. That's completely up to you. But there's another benefit of having this text box option. So I can select this and I can delete it. If you right click in the text box, there's this option called dynamic values. All right. Dynamic values pop up and it gives you this whole slew of options to consider to add into your stage view. The first category is time. So you can add in the date, the month, the year, hours, minutes, seconds, the show, right? So I got the show name here. I can select that and it can put it in there if you want, if we wanted to, and that would be the text in that box. We've also got the show name for next. If I had another show lined up to be next, that would show up here. Verse, all kinds of cool stuff. So the slide group, right? So whatever this part of the song is, it would show that that's the verse, and then the upcoming part is another part of the verse as well. If there was the chorus or the bridge, that would show up in that as well. And then the text, we've got options to show slide text previous, slide text next, video for the time or the length of the video that's on that particular slide, or a countdown showing how much time is left in that video. And then also just the video duration, where it just kind of counts up and tells you how long the video has been going. All right. And then we've got this metadata to show. You can put in the author, the artist, and all that kind of stuff if that's available on your particular slides. And then we've got this option for other variables. And these are variables that you create yourself. So I've got some. So I've got a variable for speaker name that I named the variable speaker name. I got one called podcast topic, podcast host, podcast guest, variable called FreeShow Friday topics. I've got one called the tally score. You can literally make a variable for anything you want. So I can select, I might do this one here because this is what we're talking about, right? And it shows up and it looks like this. So it says variable FreeShow Friday topic, which looks kind of awkward, but that's not what's going to show up on the stage view. On the stage view, it'll actually show what the actual topic is. And in this case, the topic is, let's see, it is creating a stage view. Okay. And so that's what they would actually see in that particular area. Now, let's look at our next options in terms of, we looked at the text box and all the different features you can do there. If we look at the item option, okay, this gives you a way to adjust your layout as well, right? So I'm still on my text box. The background color for my text box is completely transparent, but let's say we wanted it to stand out. We can make it be gray. We can make it be green, okay? And then we can go in and we can turn off the shadow. So if I go back to the text, we'll go to shadow. It turns off the shadow. And I want that color now. I don't want it to be yellow. Let's say red doesn't look too bad. Blue doesn't look too bad, but you want something that's going to be easy for the folks on the stage to see from where they are. All right. And so you'll pick a color that complements and kind of goes with that. Red will work in this case. You can also change the opacity of the background and all the different things you can do on any other slide or text box in your show, right? You can change the corner radius. So I can make the box rounded if I wanted to, and we can make it smaller to make it fit in here. And that's completely okay. Completely up to you how you want to customize that box. And these are the options to do it. Okay. Going back up to my items, there's still more. We just got to the text box. The next option you have is media. You can select media, and what media will do is give you an option to add in an image, a video, whatever the media is that you want to add. I can't think of a good reason to do this. However, someone did ask a question about how to make a background to their stage view. And you can do that with this media option. All right. And so you'll see here, we've got 1, 2, 3 items here, but unlike on your regular show or your slides, you don't have a way to organize these. So if you wanted to make a background, it literally is going to be first come, first serve. So you would make sure to put the media in first and make that be the background. And then everything else is going to stack on top of that. And you can arrange it however you want. All right. So if I were to go here and select the media, it says to choose the media in the media drawer here. So I can select that and I can go to find a backdrop. Let's say I want it to be a certain backdrop. So we want it to be this blue. So I've got it. I've added it in though after the fact from everything else. And so now this is what it looks like. So my stage view looks like this big blue slate. I don't want that, right? I want to make sure it's in the background. So you would have to go in, and for my situation, I would delete this one, select that, delete that one. I'm gonna pull this up and I can pick this one and delete that. And now I got a stage backdrop. All right. And if I go back to my items and I add in the slide text, current slide, it shows up right on top of there. I can select items again, slide text. The next slide shows up right on top of that one. And I can line these up and I'll pull this one over as well. All right. And then I can go back. I can add in my text box and we can be right back where we started with this backdrop. Like I said, the backdrop is completely up to you, but that's how you would do it if you're looking to do something like that. Okay. Which can be cool. It's completely up to the flow of your service. For the main thing you don't want it to be distracting for the people on stage, and you definitely don't want it to be distracting for your audience that are trying to engage with the speaker that is on stage. You don't want them constantly looking over their shoulder, looking back to see what's going on that projector behind us, or what's going on that TV screen behind us. I want to see what's going on that one on stage. This only kind of at an angle where I couldn't see real clear, but they're paying attention. They got this bright color on there. You might stay away from it just because of that, because of the distraction possibility. But let's go back into this one. I'm gonna right click on my text box, select dynamic values, and we select it all the way down at the bottom, this variable for Free Show Friday. All right. Now let's go back and add some more items. So we've got text box, media. Let's look at progress. If I select this option that says progress, we see that there are 7 total slides. And select out of that. I'm not sure what happened to my text box. Let's see. Oh, it got hidden. All right. I'm not sure why it's staying on the bottom of there. If I move this back down and select out of it, that particular text box stays in the back for some reason. Not sure about that. But yet again, I wouldn't necessarily recommend having a backdrop on here. And I'm going to remove mine here in a second. But you can see that we can add the progress. And then I'll select this and we'll hit delete. But we got progress. We got our text box here with our variable for Free Show Friday. This is our note space that we're going to talk about how to make that update. And if I go back to my items, I've got an option for a camera, which is just another camera feed. So if you select that, you would have this particular camera feed option here. You can customize how big you want the box to be. And then it gives you an option in the drawer to say, choose your camera. And it just pops up all the different cameras you got here. And you would just pick the one you want. All right. Now, in my opinion, again, you don't necessarily need to have a camera up there, but it's definitely an option. And it all is going to depend on the workload you want to put on your computer that's running all this. You want to be mindful of that it doesn't cause any unnecessary lag just to do something that may not be that important to the people on stage. That goes back to talking to them, find out what they need. This video is going to help you understand how to approach that conversation to know what you can do. All right. So they say, yeah, we want to show a rooftop view of the church on there. Okay. Well, we need to get a picture of that and we can make it a piece of the media. They say, well, we want a live feed showing what's going on in the lobby. Okay. So that would be a camera that needs to be connected to the computer, and we can put that into the stage view as a camera as long as it's connected to the computer. All right. So these are the options, right? So we're just going over that. So I'm going to delete the camera. We don't need that right now. And then the timers. All right. This is another one that's important for most speakers. They're going to want to know how much time they have. And even worship leaders, they're going to want to know how much time they've got. Right. So if we got this option for timer, you'll see this under the drawer for timer. You'll see this first drop down that says you basically need to pick your timer. So I've got a few. I've got the first active. I got a 1 second, a 5 minute, 10 minute. And this is going to dictate what you would call this. So let's say it's the worship leader's stage view. Okay, you can customize it for them. And let's say they need, for the sake of what I've got, I got a 15-minute timer. So let's do a 15-minute. Oh, you know what? We got timers that go into a certain time, right? So we've got we got a 12 p.m. countdown. You got a 7 p.m. I got a 7 p.m. countdown. And then we just got a timer for 45 minutes. So let's say you all want to say, you know what, we're going to have worship until 12 p.m. We start at 11, we're going to have worship until 12. So we can select that and you'll see this countdown show up. Now, it doesn't really make sense to me because I'm in the middle of the evening, but for them, it'll just count down towards that time. In this case, it's already passed. So it shows up in red based on how I set that timer up. But if you wanted to give them 45 minutes, right? You can select this 45-minute option and it'll show up there as 45 minutes. Now, it does not let you start it or activate it from here. You would literally have to go back into FreeShow main settings and go to the functions and go to your timers. And then you'll be able to see all the timers you got and you would just play the timer. So I'm gonna start my 45-minute timer. You'll see it on the right side start counting down. If we go to the stage, you'll see it's completely in sync. All right. And so you would literally start those up. You can make an action that makes them automatically start on a certain on a show, like the first musical lyrics show that you have, or maybe you have a slide that just says, let's go into worship together. And it's just a show. And you put an action on that that starts the timer for your worship team. All right. And then it goes into whatever the first set of lyrics are that you have as a separate show on a whole nother show. All right. So that would be my approach to that is I would make this automatically start with a specific let's go into worship together slide or show, I should say, a slide on a show. And then the next that action is going to be tied to that. It'll automatically make it trigger to start this particular timer. And then you would actually go into your first song. All right. This could be what we call the worship leader. So I can right click on this up here and I'm going to rename this. We're going to call this worship stage. All right. So we got a timer there and then we got this option for a clock. I can click that one time and it shows the time of day for my time. All right. And so you can arrange this how you want. This is the fun part about this, right? So I've got this variable here. I may want that one to be kind of stacked up and tall like this. We'll pull that there. And then this, we'll make it, actually, I'll stack these up to be, I'll make this one be short and wide because I want my time to be big, but I don't want it to be as big as this timer. Let's see. So I'll make this be like that. We'll pull this over. You just drag on the edge and you can move any of these over. And I want my time of day to be big. And that's that. If you right click, it just gives you the option to delete it. All right, so we've got our time and I want the time to stand out from the timer. So this time I'm going to make this one be a different setup. So we got opacity, we've got padding, we got background color. So we can change the background color. I can make the whole thing be yellow. We can make it be red in the background. That's a way that you can do it to make it stand out. And then you can go back into your text box here if you want to. Let's see, it doesn't give you a text box for that, but it does give you the option for the type. So you can make it be an analog clock if you wanted to. You can make a custom one and you can make the format. And then it's list of day.js formats. All right. So if you've got some formats you've customized, you can do that. I'm going to go into just the digital and it shows up there. And you can turn on or off the seconds. For the approach that I would have with it, I wouldn't necessarily think the seconds are going to be that important for what I would do. So I would make this a little bigger and it saves us some space. It allows us to make it bigger. I can shrink that back down. I want it to be just big and not necessarily tall. All right. So we got that there. We've got the current slide, the next slide, the progress of the slides. And if I go to progress, we didn't look at the options you got. So you got your accent color here that you can change, and you can also change the number. So you can say progress bar if you wanted to. And you can make that show up down here. And if I stretch this out, you can see we can make that progress be just a bar if we wanted to show how far we are. And so if I go up to the next slide, we see that progress bar move up. All right. If we go to the next one, we'll see that progress bar move up again. And so forth and so on. It'll just kind of fill up. That's one way to do it. All right. Let's go back into this progress bar setting and see what we got. And so we got the progress bar option, and then we got groups. So I can select groups, and you can see here, it gives you a layout to show you exactly what you're on in the particular song, right? So we got verse 1, verse 2, chorus 1, bridge 1, chorus 2, bridge 2. All is a part of the groups in that song, all right? And if I go back, you can see they changed it, went to verse 2. We keep going back, you'll probably see it goes to verse 1 there. I'm not that musical, so I'm not sure what um, those particular things mean in detail. I know they represent different portions of the song. For those of you who are also the worship leader, this makes complete sense, and you can actually show your progress of your songs in that way based on the group that's showing on the slides. All right, which is really cool. All right, so for me, I would probably default it to being like a numbered thing because I'm more of a presenter slash speaker, right? But for the worship team, this one, we'll actually have it stay with that. We'll make it be the groups because that's what the worship team wants. All right. We want to make it to where it's going to be exactly what they want, customized for them. All right. And so that's there. We'll put the timer up here. 45 minutes is counting down for them. And then they can see the time and then they can see the special message. I'll pull that up to make it fit in that space there. And then this, we'll just spread it all the way across at the bottom to make it a really good size for them to see it. All right. And then with this, we can make a certain accent color as well. So I'm gonna make it be yellow. Let's see, yellow. I like green actually. I'll do green. It gives it something that stands out from everything else. All right. So we've got our worship stage. Now the question is, well, what is going to be the speaker's stage? So I can go to new layout down at the bottom left, and we're going to call this one speaker, or you can call it pastor's stage, whatever you want to call it. And what would a speaker want? Let's think about it. They're going to probably be talking and showing some scriptures and scripture references and things like that. So they're definitely going to want some slide text. And we'll put that in here. And remember, our first step is going to always be going to go over and show our labels up here in the options. So we're going to turn on the slide text, our label here, so we can see what we got. This is our current slide. And then we got options to go back into our items. We're going to make another one that shows our next slide. And that's going to be important for any speaker to be able to see what's going on currently, right? And so we can see, or what's coming up next, I should say. So we got these two things going on. I'll make one of them be a little bit smaller so we can make that fit and make the other one match. All right. And it's good that we got the little, the grid to kind of, the guides to show you when you're actually in line, right? Just keeps everything clean. Now, what else is important for the speaker? Probably a timer. So I'm gonna go back to my items and we'll do a timer. I'm gonna put this timer right in the middle at the bottom here. All right. And we'll make it huge. And then I want it to be centered up. So it's centered in the middle. And then we're gonna do one for a text box for you as the media team. You want to make sure you can communicate with them whenever you need to. So I'm gonna put that down here. We're gonna make the text color, that's fine. But I want to make the actual item. I want the background color. We're gonna make it be red. This is the hot box. This is gonna show them what they need to know. And the text color is gonna be white, which is perfect. And we can just type in there if we wanted to. And it'll show up for them to see. And for the text in that, I would probably customize it to where it's always in uppercase. Not that I want to be yelling at them, but that would be something to consider, is that it's going to be all in uppercase for them to see. All right. And then over here, we've got progress. Let's put the progress of the slides that they've got so they can know exactly where they are in the show. Okay. We got those two things or three things down there at the bottom. I like that. I'm gonna pull it down to be even with that one over there. Perfect. So when I slide 207, I'm gonna make this timer be a little bit different color so it stands out and not getting lost. I like yellow, maybe green. We can do green. I'll do green. I like green. Green stands out. All right. So we can see everything really clear. And then I'm looking up here on the left. You can see that offering is running over, even though it's in all caps like I want. If I go here, I need to go to the text and do auto size. We're going to say auto size the offering. All right. And now we'll see it made it fill in there, which is really cool and crazy looking. But let's see. Yeah. So turned off the says I can't make it be a certain size, but it should automatically update to where I can, let me refresh it and see what that does. It makes it stay huge like that. So off ring, which is crazy. Let's see. I turn it back off and back on. If I go to show and come back in, let's see. Yeah, it keeps it big. And I'm just looking up here at the preview on the left. These are the different options. So we got the speaker stage, the worship stage. All right. So you've got them all designed. This is step one. You won't ever have to do this again because it kind of defaults and it's on and active and ready to go. Now notice this is the same exact timer though. Now this is a big deal. We don't want to have the same exact timer for both speaker and worship. So you would want to make a separate timer for that. And for this one, I'm going to change this timer. We're going to make it, for the sake of this, we're going to make it be a 15-minute countdown for now. All right. So this was a 15-minute countdown for the speaker. We got a 45-minute countdown for worship. And now they're different timers, and you could literally just make the same, if they need to be the same amount of time, make one for worship and call it the worship countdown, make another one and call it the speaker countdown in your timer section. Okay. And that's a whole nother video. You can check it out about setting up your timers and customizing those. But that would be how you set up your stage view. Now, let's talk about, we actually talked about customizing it too. So we talked about creating it. We've customized it to be what we want to some degree. Now, the question has to do with if you want to do anything else, you would just come in here and you would just select it and change it, right? So you would just click on any of these and you'll see the option to update it based on your drawers on this upper right side here in this far right column, all right? And if you wanted to have something, let's see here, you got press action options. So if you click on one of these, this is a really cool feature. So in your stage view, you literally can have this be like on a tablet, like on a connections page or whatnot on your for your speakers or whoever. And under the special options, you can make an option, a press action to clear overlays, to start timers, start clocks, to set the stream. It shows all these different actions that you may have created. So these are all the actions I've created. You can do one that's the release action that shows the same set of actions. So any action that you want to create, you can make it be a part of any one of these features on your show, on your stage view, and make it to where when the speaker or yourself or somebody on the volunteer team presses that particular section. So if I click literally on the words on this current slide text, it will do something special in terms of clearing overlays or whatever actions you got set up. All right. That's something that I don't want to forget, but that's a really cool way to customize this. And it comes in handy if you're using your stage view for um, a speaker view for your speakers to have on stage to see it on a tablet or even on a computer or something like that. But specifically, if it's on a tablet like an iPad, they can literally touch it and it'll do something based on those press actions if you want it to. So you can make a press action be to go to the next slide, right? And you can make that be over here to where they can click on this and it'll go to the next slide for that particular speaker. And that might be exactly what they want to do, what they need, all right? Which is a really cool feature, all right? Now, when it comes to getting this working, let's talk about that. We got to go back to our settings now. All right. We started out going to the stage settings, which is right there in the middle of the top. Now we got to go over to our output settings. And in our output settings, I've got a live stream option, a primary output. I've got a ministry output here called SMI. And then I've got this stream output setting that I made. We need to make one for our stage view because let's say we want to not just show this over the network. We want to actually make it be a view on a monitor that's in the back or a projector that's in the back for the people on stage to be able to see it really clearly. So we can go to add at the bottom, and then it gives you two options, a normal output or a stage output. We're going to select stage. And this one is defaulting to be called speaker stage because that's the first one on my stage layouts. I'm just going to call it stage. All right. And most of you all are going to probably only have one stage view. So it might look something like this, where you got a couple of different outputs and then you got this stage view. Stage enabled is up here. So it's on. And then when I turn it off, you'll see that it goes away in my preview, but I'm gonna turn it back on so you can see it. And then we've got this option for stage layout. This literally just gives you the options we just created. So whenever you're setting up in FreeShow, I'm always going to start you with getting your templates, your styles in order, and then you go to your outputs to activate. Because if you go to the outputs first, you don't have anything here, right? We could have turned this on first, but we wouldn't have had any stage layouts to select. So always start at the stage settings and then create your stage layouts. And then from there, when you get done making those layouts, you go to your outputs and you can actually activate those particular stage layouts. Okay. So we'll start with worship stage, and it looks a little bit different. Some similarities, but the biggest thing that's different is we got that bar at the bottom, the progress bar showing the actual musical progress as opposed to just slide 2 out of 7 or 3 out of 7 or whatever it is, right? And then the output screen, you would pick the resolution of that screen. You would just select there and it'll give you the options of which screen you want to use to be your output. You can select it to be always on top, which I recommend because you're not going to really want to show anything else on that particular screen. But if you do want to show something else on that screen at other times, then you want to deactivate always on top. Okay. And then enable NDI. This is an option as well that could be useful. But I believe the only interaction with that press and release deal only works with the connections page, right, through the web interface. I don't think it works through the NDI interface. All right. But you can turn on NDI for your stage view if you want to and output that to another screen or another computer that's connected to another screen somewhere near the stage for the speakers. Maybe it's on the floor at the corner of the stage or something along those lines. That could be useful, but you can also just go to your connection. So I'm going to turn that off. And if we go over to connections, you've got options to show your stage show as well. And we can turn that on. And it gives you this option to scan and or type in an IP address that you can put on any browser. So you can still use any other computer and show the stage view from here, or a phone or whatever it is, a tablet. You can take a picture of that with your tablet and make sure that speaker has access to it. All right, so I can turn that off. We're gonna go back to our outputs, and for our stage, we've got everything set for what we need. And what they'll see is something like this during worship. And then what you can do is when it's time for this preacher notes, let's go to our show. I'm gonna go back out here and let's do a Sunday project. And we're gonna call this for today's the 28th. And this is just a template, right? So what you can do is I've got an opening, I've got worship, teaching, closing. Let's talk about how we can customize this to make those actions and things like that that will automatically activate timers and things that we need. So first thing, we've got our project. Let's go into functions and create a new timer. So I'm gonna say new timer, and I'm gonna call it from start to end. And we're gonna call this speaker timer, whatever that time is, right? So I'm gonna do uh, let's do 30 minutes. And I can just type in here 30 minutes and it's going to go down to 0. All right. So I'm sorry, not down to 0. This is seconds, but so it's going to be 30 minutes to 0. That's what you see here. So this is minutes and this is seconds. Overflow when reached to end, I'm going to say yes. And I want it to turn red to kind of just trigger them to say, oh, this is almost, my time is almost up. And that should be good. So we're going to say create. So we've got our 30-minute speaker timer here. So I'm gonna go back into, and the 45-minute, we'll keep that for our worship timer, but let's go back into our stage settings. And for our speaker stage, we're gonna change this countdown timer by clicking up here, and we're gonna go to the speaker timer, and you'll see that there, all right? So now we've got our timer set up. We got our project here. We need to make just a generic show that just says, let's begin worship, or let's enter into worship together. Um, so I'm going to make a new show, and we're going to call it Worship Time. And I'm looking over my microphone, so I keep fudging my typing there. But we're going to make this one be in our presentations for now. And I'm going to say empty show. And we're going to select a new slide. And this new slide, I'm just making a quick slideshow. It's going to say, let's worship together. All right. And this slide will be like this. And then I'm going to add a nice media background to it. I'm going to go to my YOLO box files and video backdrops from the toolkit. And one of my favorites is this bubbles one. I like the bubbles. So we're going to select that for this particular show here. Actually, didn't go there because it went somewhere else. And I'm going to just drag it on to there. All right, so it says let's worship together. I'm going to drag that on there. It didn't lock in the first time, so I'm going to select that. So now it's going to always have the bubble background no matter what, because I've actually attached it to this particular slide. Okay. Now the other thing that I wanted to do is I wanted to activate the timer for worship, which is the 45-minute timer. So if I go back to functions, we're going to go to actions, and we're going to make a new action. We're going to call it start worship timer. Something real simple. All right, so we're going to say choose action. And from here, we're going to see different options. And I'm just looking for timers. All right, so it says timers. I'm going to say start timer. And then it gives you an option to pick which timer you want to start. And I'm going to go down to the one that's for worship, which is the 45-minute one. And that's that. So I can close that. Now we've got let's see, what did I call it? Oh, start worship timer. So I got a lot of start timers here. So I've got this action. I'm going to drag that onto this slide as well. And I'm going to go to my timers, and we're going to stop this timer. We're going to pause it and reset. All right. So it's completely started over at 45 minutes, but I'm going to move this show up above to be the very first worship slide or show in this case. All right. And then we need another one for teaching, because we need to start our teaching timer. Now, the reason why I'm making a whole new show for this is because your songs are going to vary week to week, but this particular slide can be consistent every week. All you're doing is changing the songs, the shows on the songs. Same way with the teaching. We're going to make one that just says, let's hear the word of the Lord, or it's time for the word of the Lord, or something along those lines. And that can be in there every time, right before the pastor comes up, or the teacher, whoever is going to be the guest speaker or whatnot. And you can make a slide for the speaker. You know, you all may have that already where it's got a picture of them up and all that. That's the one that you want to tie this timer to, because that starts the timer. All right. It's the one that happens before they come up to speak. So we're going to make a new show. We're going to call this one, we'll say speaker welcome, or speaker. We'll call it speaker introduction. All right. Put that under presentations for me as well. And I'm going to do, we'll do quick lyrics. I'm just going to say, let's hear the word. We'll say for the day. All right. And we're just going to say new show. And so I hit enter, so I put it on a separate slide. I'm going to make these just be one slide. So I'm going to select that and go to my edit. Actually, we'll just do it that way. So I'm going to select all this stuff, and I'm going to take it out, and I'm going to right click on this, and I'm going to delete this particular slide. We don't need it. I'm going to go into here and hit enter, and we're going to paste that in. So let's hear the word the word for the day, and we'll go back to show. And I want to make a certain background for this one as well. So let's go to media. And this one's going to be a little bit more subdued. We'll do yellow box files. We'll do a grunge backdrop. And let's see what we've got. And you would have whatever your customized speaker intro slide is. We'll do this one. I like this one. We'll bring that in. And that's locked in for that. So now we've got this. I'm going to drag it up to be the first slide under our teaching category, our teaching section in our project. And this is our Sunday service. So this is what's going on today. We got the announcements, the welcome, and there's going to be worship time, 3 songs, and then the speaking or teaching time. And then we got some notes and some scriptures and all that good stuff. Now I'm going to go into my worship time. Let's go back to this one. So we got our slide here. It's got the option for the action. This says start worship. That's great. And then we're going to go into our speaker one. We're going to make another action that does the same thing. And for functions, we're looking for, do we have a 30-minute timer? I thought we made one. Did I make that up? Let's see. Oh yeah, the speaker timer. All right, so we got our speaker timer. I'm going to make an action. So that's my timers. I'm going to go to actions. We're going to call this one start speaker timer. All right, and then we're going to select choose action. And then it gives us a bunch of options here. We're going to go down to the timers because we just want to start a timer. And we click that. And then it gives you the option. It's a blank space there. So it's asking you which timer do you want to start. We're going to scroll down to where we see the speaker timer. And I don't want to miss it. There we go. Boom. And they're in alphabetical order. So I can just go ahead and select close. And so now I've got a speaker timer. I don't want to have to click that every time it's time for the speaker to start. I want it to just tie into this particular slide. So I'm going to drag this on to this slide to start the timer as soon as the speaker slide shows up. So we've got those set up. So we got this is all setting up our stage display. Okay. You don't have to do this every time. You just do this one time and it's set up every week. You just have this, add this to your, you make a project template, you'll save this and it's always going to be there for you. So the next thing is we've got to go ahead. We've got 2 different stage displays. So we need to do some adjustments for the stage display. All right. When we get to this speaker, we need to make the stage display be for the speaker, but when we're in worship time, we need to make it be for the worship. So we need to add another action. So we're going to go to actions as well. We're going to do new action, and we're going to call this one worship stage display. All right. We're going to go to choose an action, and we're going to be looking for outputs. And we've got this down here, and we got toggle output, output windows, change output style, change stage output layout. All right. So this one's the worship display. So we're going to say change stage layout to be worship stage. And the output, you can literally make a new output for, not new, but you can select an output that you may have created for the output here. Oh, no, it doesn't give you an option. So yes, that's fine. So we're just changing the stage layout. And oh, the output, I got you. It's going to be the stage. That's the one that we've got. So the one that's in the back, we only made one stage. Output is going to be there. And so we've got the layout for that, and we got the output. The output is going to be the same for both of these because the people on stage are going to be looking at the same monitor, the same projector screen that we've got, and we only made one stage view. Okay. So we got that. We're going to go ahead and hit close. So worship stage display needs to go on to the worship slide. So that needs to change with that. So we're going to drag this action onto here as well. So 2 things are going to happen here. It's going to start a timer and it's going to start that stage display. We need to do something similar for this one. We need to change the display to be the speaker stage display. And all we're doing is going to go to our actions, new action, and we're going to call this speaker stage. All right. And so we got our speaker stage display here. I'm going to select choose action. Going down to my outputs again, change stage output layout, and we're going to make this one be speaker stage for the stage output. All right, that's done. And now we got to go to that particular action. It's here. It's called speaker stage display. I'm going to drag that onto here. And now we've got our speaker stage display all set up. And we got to go ahead and check this whole thing out. All right. So if we go to our announcement slides, we got this countdown here to start service, and we'll go ahead and run it. So let's go ahead and click on that. All right. That one has an action to start a timer as well. It's starting a 10-minute timer. And right now, this is the current display. It's already set for the worship team, right? I'm going to change it to be the speaker display. So let's go to, we'll keep it here. We're going to go to, it's on speaker. Let's go to our outputs and change that. All right. So on our outputs, we got our stage. Right now it's defaulting to worship. We're going to make it be the speaker stage just so we can see it change. Okay. So it's showing a different layout right now. I just want to make sure you guys can see that. Now, this is what the audience sees. Okay. And this is the live stream. This is not real. There's going to be something else that you would show here. You would set that up however you want. I would probably set it to show exactly the same thing on here. I didn't set that up for this because this is a whole different output. I've been playing around with doing different tutorials and stuff like that. So I've actually deleted that function. That what it would do is it would show the same thing. All right. Now for the stage view, this is what's going on the stage view, but nobody's really on stage at this time. All right. This is just the timer to get service started and things like that. But then we're going to go into here. So we're going to go to our welcome slide. All right. So we got our welcome. This is what people are going to see online. It's going to show the, somebody on the stage with a video camera. This is going to be here. It's going to be showing to the audience that's going to be on the screens. And then on stage right now, it's still showing the speaker layout. But, it's time to go ahead and begin worship. So I'm going to say, let's start our worship slide. I'm going to go to that one and watch what happens. It went to the worship slide stage layout. It started the timer, and the progress is here at the bottom. We got our clock here. And so now we're going to go through our songs. We got some worship songs we're going through. Excuse all this. This was from another training. There's a lot of different backgrounds to that one. We got the next song. We're just going along, right? So we got this song going on, and we went through that. We got the green backdrop going on. We're going through that. All right. And then we got this song going on. Went through this song, and we're going through them all. And I'm just skipping around to get through this particular show. I want you to pay attention to this. The stage view is showing up here, right? It's showing, it's got the background saying teal and blue bubble gradient. That's the first slide. And then it's got the chorus and so forth. We're at bridge number 2. So we're nearing the end of this thing. And it's almost time for the speaker, right? So we're just fast forwarding. Act like that's close to 3 minutes left or whatever it is, as opposed to 43 minutes. And we get to our speaker introduction page. And when I select, let's hear the word for the day, watch what happens to the stage display. Boom. It automatically started up. I'm going to just click it to make it big. And you can see here, it automatically started the timer. And this is what people are going to see in-house. They're going to see the let's hear the word of the day. And the people online are going to see let's hear the word of the day on their end. And it's going to look like this with the camera showing up, whatever's in the camera, right? And it automatically changes. All right. And now the teaching notes come up and the scriptures come up. And so if I click on the scripture, this is what the speaker is going to see. They're going to see their speaking notes with the scriptures showing the current scripture and the next scripture. And you got your note here for offering, but we want to make that say something different. So we're going to show how to change that box as well, because this is a dynamic variable, right? So let's close that out and let's go into our functions drawer. We're going to go to our variables. And the variable that we used was speaker name. That's what it's called, just because I had that there already. You can make it be stage notes or something like that. So I'm going to change this to say license plate lights on. All right. I hit enter and it should lock in to show and change here. Now it did not change for some reason. I don't know if it's just because it's lagging, but let's go into our stage just to make sure. I don't know that I made that a dynamic variable is what I'm thinking. Let's see. All right, so in here, no, that's not a dynamic variable. So I need to right click in there and go to dynamic, scroll down, and we're gonna go to, here we go, speaker name. We're gonna do that. And so we're gonna make it be Autosize, boom. And now if we look at our stage display, it shows up there. It says, hey, license plate 4444, lights on. The speaker knows that they can make that quick announcement and keep moving. Okay. That's something that is really cool about the stage display. Being able to control that text from the media booth is really helpful. It's not just the default next slide, current slide, how many slides and the timer and all that good stuff. But this is how the stage display works. Now, to finalize all this, you would save, this whole piece, right? So we got our project Sunday 4/28. I'm gonna go back out. Let's click out of that. And I'm gonna go out of here to see. So Sunday 4/28/25, I can right click on that and it'll give me an option to make it into let's see, here we go. To make it into a template. So I'm gonna say create template. And it's called Sunday 4/28 right now, but I'm gonna rename it and call that Sunday with stage for now. All right. And so each week you would just go to this particular template, put a new date on the end of it. Right. So let's say it's 4/29. I hit enter and it brings me right in, and all those things. So the worship time, it's here. The speaker introduction, it's there. All you're doing is changing your slides for your songs, changing your scriptures for your pastor or your teacher, whoever's going to be sharing that day. And you're ready to go. And you've got your stage view already set up. It stays on. When you turn FreeShow off and turn it back on, you would just keep it locked in however it is. You don't even have to worry about what is showing up there because you got it set to when it goes to worship time, it's going to automatically switch, just like it just did. It just switched and went to that. Okay. So hopefully this makes sense for you on setting up your stage display. It all started with us going up here to the top under stage, and we just designed a couple of layouts, one for our speaker and one for our worship. And the cool thing about this now is that you're going to select your slide text, and you can select another slide text and it'll automatically make it your next slide. But you can also select any one of these and you can make it be an offset to be a plus or minus however many slides forward you want to go. If you want to just go one slide up, you can make it show the next slide, and you don't have to have two boxes there if you don't want to. Completely up to you. All right. But hopefully this makes sense for you and makes you more efficient with your worship, with your setup for your media, for your ministry, and go in and set up your stage view. I'd love to hear how it goes. Leave a comment in the description below, or in the comment section, I should say, below, and let me know how it worked out for you. Thanks again. Have a great rest of the day.